What is up, YouTube? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. Guys, this video is all about Iron Fist. It's sort of a review of the series. And yes, unfortunately, I do think that the show totally sucks. Wow, I was really ready for Iron Fist to be really great, and I was really ready for all of the critics to be wrong, and it just isn't that way, guys, at least in my opinion. And speaking on that, let me just say that there are a lot of people that really enjoy this show, some people whose opinion I really respect, and just like all things when it comes to art and entertainment, my opinion is my own. It is subjective. I am just telling you how I feel about the show. I'm not necessarily saying that the show itself is terrible. I'm more or less saying that I believe the show is terrible. And I wanted to kind of go through exactly why and what the big problems are. So here's the thing. The main problem with Iron Fist is Iron Fist, aka Danny Rand, aka Finn Jones. The character himself is such a problem and an issue that it literally destroyed the whole series for me. And I want to kind of explain what I mean by that. His character makes no sense to me. You are talking about a character who, when he was 10 years old, crashes into the mountains and then is trained by monks for 15 years. And then he comes back to New York City and he is a meandering, wishy-washy idiot. And that's just the nicest way I can put it. The character is an idiot and he doesn't make much sense to me at all. I cannot come to grips with the fact that a character who was strong enough to beat Shun Lao, who was strong enough to become the Iron Fist and beat that trial. And not only that, but he was trained by monks repeatedly to be nothing but a warrior for 15 years. And then he comes back to New York and he doesn't know who he is really. He doesn't know what he even wants. He has no clear-cut mission. And I want to draw a parallel between him and other characters of similar archetypes that have a clear mission, that have clearly defined desires, things that they want to accomplish, and how that works. Here is the thing that really doesn't make any sense, and that would be Danny's motivation. I really have no idea, after watching 13 episodes, why he left Kunlun in the first place. I have no idea why he was in New York. I mean, it is kind of implied that he is trying to find out who actually killed his parents, but why would you believe, as a now 25-year-old man, why would you believe that there was foul play involved with your parents crashing, especially considered that the monks at Kunlun were trying to get him to bury the parents, not just like literally, but figuratively, like let go of that completely and just embrace your destiny as the Iron Fist. And that's one of the weird things about the show, is that Danny is like half in, half out on being the Iron Fist. He will sometimes say things like, I am the Iron Fist, I'm the immortal weapon, nobody tells me what to do. And then he'll also kind of neglect his responsibility, not want to be back in Kunlun, want to feel emotions and attachment. He's all over the place as far as a character. I don't get his motivations at all. And I think the fact that he is just so meandering, it creates a meandering narrative. The show itself becomes meandering because his character doesn't make any sense. And let's draw some parallels here. Oliver Queen. When Oliver leaves the island, he comes back to Starling City on the show, but Star City with a mission. Now, he has his father's book, all of those names. He wants to eliminate them. That is his mission. He has a clearly defined mission. Daredevil, as he says, there's no place for this kind of crime and scum in Hell's Kitchen. It's his city. He's going to clean it up. Luke Cage, different, because he's actually he's the reluctant hero, right? He doesn't want to get involved with these sort of things. He doesn't want to do that. And that is his mission. Despite all these things going on around him, that is his mission. So when a character has something like that, like a clear motivation, and then the plot can kind of work against that. It creates believable conflict that we as an audience can believe, buy into, and get invested in. So when things turn on them, like when Oliver finds out, spoiler alert, that his father was actually a bad guy and that he was trying to wipe out, it turns that motivation that we've had for the whole series against him. Or, when Matt kind of believes or comes to believe that maybe he is not going about it the right way, it causes a conflict, right? When Luke realizes that he has to take up that mantle, that he's like the only one that can do it, it creates conflict. So the conflict in Iron Fist, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like you have this meandering character that then wants to do this one thing, and it's hard, but it doesn't have an impact because he doesn't have things that he clearly believes that are going to come into conflict with what he has to do, right? So there's just none of the conflict really hit for me. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So the biggest problem with the show is Finn Jones himself. And I'll say this, to be fair, he is at least consistent in his meanderingness. So it's really weird because he's consistently being that character. It's just that the choice he made for that character and the choice that Scott Buck made for this show is really weird. I don't understand it. I would have much preferred Danny to be a completely put together person who has come back to New York for a specific reason, and then maybe have him have that facade of being meandering and have the facade of him not knowing, but him to clearly know what he wants and it to maybe not work out that way. Instead, what you had happen was the Meachums become way more interesting than Danny. Now, the show should never have been about the Meachums, but honestly, thank God that it was, because they were at least interesting enough for me not to completely disengage from the show. At the end of the day, I disliked Iron Fist so much that I felt like it was work to finish watching it. I felt like I owed it to not only people here at the Den, but to the Netflix continuity to finish this series, and it should never be like that. We are living in the golden age of television. You have Game of Thrones, you have Westworld, you have Stranger Things, you have Daredevil, you have all of these things. We are pushing the envelope as far as what entertainment on television can be, and then this show happens, and it's so all over the place, and I really don't get it. So I very much disliked it because of the character of Danny. This will take us into one of the other big problems that I have with the show, which is the action. This should have been a kung fu show with some of the best martial arts that we've ever seen, and I feel like Scott Buck just really wanted to differentiate the combat from what was being shown in Daredevil, and it just doesn't play well at all. The hits don't look like they have any impact. Danny himself is not very physical. Like, Finn Jones should have taken at least 3 more months to build some muscle, to do some more training, and actually hit people, because he looks like he's just dancing around, and I just don't buy it. It's not well choreographed. It's not well executed from the actors or stunt doubles perspective. It's a real sloppy combat that really takes me out of the show. Now, having said that, small caveat to that was Colleen Wing, who is amazing, and she's really great as an actress, and she's really great as a combatant. I really felt like her scenes were really strong when it came to combat, but that show is not called Colleen Wing. The show is called Iron Fist, and it's so frustrating that Danny couldn't have been better when it came to actual martial arts. Like, when he loses the Iron Fist, which happens a couple times during the show, he gets bested by a lot of people, including Davos, including Colleen, including a bunch of different people, and it just makes zero sense. This guy is the living weapon. So for everything I know about Iron Fist, it just really irritated me that they were not able to nail the combat in that show and make him more of a physical presence. I mean, wow, I was really, really let down in that perspective. So I would say, as far as the show goes, the character of Danny really just kills it. I mean, there were pacing issues, but with the character they established and the way Finn Jones decided to portray him, none of the pacing issues matter, because even if you fix them and have a really tight narrative, you still have that guy and that character as the head of your show, and I really, really dislike it. So, big problems, Danny Rand. The next big problem is the action, and a lot of that kind of goes back to Danny Rand too. So I will just say this. Am I excited for Defenders? Absolutely. But they are going to have to do a lot to get me to buy back into Iron Fist. If they do another season of Iron Fist and I don't see a big improvement with Finn Jones during Defenders, which I'm going to be really interested to see how that plays out. But I will not watch it. Now, I would love to see him and Luke Cage interact, and I think that could be really cool. The thing is, though, they've done this really weird thing where they kind of established Luke Cage as a big teddy bear. Like, don't get me wrong, Luke Cage is a badass, but he is kind of soft on the inside. So what might have worked if he was real, like, thuggish and aggressive and Danny was all peaceful, that dynamic could have been very interesting. But you essentially have two guys that are really passé and yet really strong. I don't find that interesting. That shit ain't gonna be interesting. Like, it's irritating for a lot of different reasons. I just don't see the future being very bright for this version of Danny unless they go mega dark in Defenders and they all walk out of that with a different kind of ideological change, a change of perspective perhaps, or something, because it just really bugs me. So that's pretty much all I wanted to get into with this video. Unfortunately, I do believe that Iron Fist does suck. And like I said, just my personal opinion. I'm obviously not like a critic, I'm not one of these Rotten Tomato peoples or whatever, but because my Does Iron Fist Suck video was so popular, I did want to do this video as sort of a part 2 to that, and explain that, yes, I do think Iron Fist sucks. And, look, if you're a hardcore Marvel fan and you're not buying it, look, you just know I'm a hardcore Marvel fan. I absolutely love it. And it's just crazy to me that this happened. I really do not like the show. I do not think that it's good in any way whatsoever. Like I said, I struggled to finish it. It should never be like that. It's 2017. It should never be like that. Also, Scott Buck is the showrunner for Inhumans. So tell me I'm not super depressed now, because if you've been watching my videos, if you follow regularly the Den of Nerds, you know I am super hyped for Inhumans. I am so excited to see that show. But the wind has gone out of my sails because Scott Buck is the same showrunner. So he gave us Iron Fist, and now he's going to give us Inhumans. So, oh my God, I'm really concerned about that now. I am going to be watching all of the news that comes out of Inhumans with a grain of salt now, and I'm just on edge now. I really don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. So having said all of that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave a like if you did, and please let me know your opinions about Iron Fist. Now, a lot of you I've been interacting with anyways on the Does Iron Fist Suck video, and a lot of you have seen it, and there's varied opinions, which is great. Some people really like it, some people don't. I don't want to take your enjoyment away from it if you do enjoy it, but I feel a responsibility to explain that I do not think it's a good show at all, and I don't think we can let Netflix or Marvel off the hook when it comes to this. This is a big disappointment, and we should let them know. So that's all I've got for this video. Like it if you thought it was dope. Feel free to dislike it if you didn't, I guess. And in either case, guys, I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya!